How's it going, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is focused around iPhone. I wanted to cover 5 tips for successful iPhone ownership and a happy iPhone ownership. More importantly than just successful, you should enjoy the experience, of course. So 5 basic tips that can help you get the most out of your experience while you are using an iPhone as your daily phone, whether it's for personal use, business, or any use I can't really think of right now. It really applies to everyone. So the first tip, I have some of them written on my computer. The first tip is to make sure that you have sufficient iCloud storage. Now, as an Apple device owner and user, you really need to make sure that you know your Apple ID and password, of course. If you do not, make sure you change the password if you can, and then keep track of it, write it down in a secure place so that you can find it when you need it. And you want to make sure that you're signed in on the device, on your iPhone, with that Apple ID and password to log into the iCloud account. And then you want to make sure you have sufficient iCloud storage for the amount of data that you store on your device. So you want to make sure you have more than you need. It's pretty inexpensive. It's only 99 cents a month. 50 gigabytes. You get 5 gigabytes free, but it's really not enough. So 50 gigabytes for 99 cents a month, 200 gigabytes for $2.99 per month, and it goes up from there. And basically, it allows you to keep a copy of your information so that it is not lost in the event of a device failure or damage to the device, etc., etc. So make sure you have enough iCloud storage, okay? So purchase that if you need to. And then make sure that you have iCloud backup enabled. This allows you to not only perform a backup over Wi-Fi manually by going into the settings. On the new OSs, I believe it is settings. Obviously, Wi-Fi needs to be connected. Settings, your name at the top, iCloud, iCloud backup. Make sure it's switched on in green, then you can hit backup now. And when it's done, it should have a little timestamp underneath that says last backup with a colon and the time or the date and the time, etc., etc. But the point is, you want to make sure that that's enabled. And once that's enabled, you can also back up automatically. And how that works is that if the device is connected to Wi-Fi and it's charging, and I assume it would be doing so for a sufficient amount of time, and it's locked also, then it can actually back up on its own. So what's quite nice is that with auto lock set, which you should definitely have set, do not leave that on never, set it to a reasonable time. I think by default it's 1 minute, so 1 minute is sufficient. If you leave it on its own, charging, let's say overnight, connected to Wi-Fi, you should expect the device to back up on its own. And if it doesn't do it one night, by and large it should if it has enough iCloud storage and those conditions are met. So those are really important things, because oftentimes you're not going to be connecting your device on a daily basis every time you take that great picture or you save that important document to iTunes. You're not going to be constantly backing it up to iTunes. So this is a sort of automated way where a practical way to manage backups is just to, when you're charging your phone at night, have it connected to Wi-Fi, leave it alone, it'll lock on its own, the screen will go dark, and it'll do it without you even knowing it while you sleep. All right, that's number 1. Number 2 is use Apple official charging equipment. Use Apple Lightning cables. Use Apple charging wall adapters. Now, I prefer to use the 5-watt wall adapter for phones, and the larger ones for iPads. I like to use the appropriate wattage chargers for the device that it seemed to be that it was shipped with, vice versa. That whatever was shipped with the original device, I try to use that. I believe that by using, let's say, a 5-watt adapter on a phone, you prevent potential issues if the charging circuits and the technology that's built in to handle higher wattage possibly fails. It may be less catastrophic, in my opinion, than if you were using, let's say, I guess a 10-watt or a 12-watt, like an iPad charger. It might charge your phone faster. The long-term effects of which, though, may not be so great. I don't have official documentation on that, but that is my philosophy. And so for a quick charge, it's not a bad idea. For a long-term charge, I would not use it. The exception being is that Apple doesn't really make a car charger. Now, if you have a USB port in your car, that's nice, I don't. But if you do, you could probably use an Apple Lightning cable to just plug directly in. But otherwise, just try to find a reputable brand that either Apple sells or that is well known, has a good reputation, and that you can buy the little lighter adapter so that you can get that USB charger for your phone so you can charge in the car, which I do quite frequently. I do not have a USB in my car, so I have to use a little lighter adapter, but it's worked fine. I don't even remember what brand it is. I think it was fairly reputable. I think I had bought it at the Apple Store a number of years back. Anyway, that's number 2. Number 3 is to research the iOS updates that you're ready to install before you download and install them. So I try to do a little bit of research. It seems that Forbes puts out as a regular piece of their content some reviews on features, bugs, glitches, things like that on new iOS updates. So I recommend that you do a little bit of research before you take the plunge. But when in doubt, I did note that you should do incremental updates. If you're not sure what to do or you don't have time to do a ton of research, just do the incremental updates. Oftentimes, I would say they're not, by virtue of being incremental, they're point releases or sub-point releases, if you will. They shouldn't be major. There should be bug fixes, security patches, things like that. And so they're probably, they can probably be trusted and you can safely do so. But you should always make sure, if you're going to do things the right way, maintain stability, you should always make sure you have a recent backup completed before you do any update, whether it's incremental or larger. So all you got to do, if we're going to do iCloud backups, is to go back to where I had stated, settings, your name at the top if it's a recent OS, iCloud, iCloud backup, and make sure that that timestamp is recent. If not, hit backup now or do it after, the next day. Do it the next day after that automatic backup has taken place, and you can confirm the timestamp. Okay, so that's another tip. 4th tip is keep the devices away from moisture, whether it's a shower or whether it's liquid. Keep them away from these kind of conditions. They're not meant to be in these conditions. Even the newer phones that are water resistant and dust resistant, just keep them away. Don't push it. The warranties, I don't believe, cover these kind of conditions, so don't push it. Apple Care Plus is a great thing, but why push your luck? Just keep it away from the beach if you can, or keep it away from sand, too much dust, things like that. I've also seen where I guess it's men's pockets primarily, but women's bags and whatnot, you can get lint and other debris stuck in these lightning ports, these charging ports. So make sure, if you can, if you put it in your pocket like I do, I put it in my front pocket, I try to put the port facing up so it doesn't contact all the dust and lint that collects at the bottom of the pocket. And it's also really quick. I can't show you on my phone right now because it's in the it's on top of my tripod, but I keep it in my pocket normally with, like I said, with the jack up. And so when I pull it out of my pocket, I'm ready to answer right away. There's no flipping it around, fumbling with it. So that's just a secondary benefit, but keep it away from moisture, keep it away from debris as much as possible. Even lint can start packing in there, prevent you from charging the device properly and making good contact. All right. And number 5 is keep enough free space on the device, and I recommend about 10%. Now, you can do reading, your own research on solid state technology. That's what these devices are using. They're using, I suppose, some sort of flash technology. And so these devices don't like to get too full. And it seems, even in my own experience, I've seen from other people's devices, my device as well, if you fill up your device too much, once you've gone past that point, it's the point of no return. If you delete things, it doesn't necessarily recalibrate properly to free up the appropriate amount of space. So make sure to try to leave at least 10% free. I found this out the hard way myself. I've seen it with other people, but just, I believe it was earlier today, I noticed after taking all these recent videos, I didn't fill up the device. I only had a few gigs left though, and when I deleted some stuff, it freed up only a fraction, I would say, of what should have been freed up, even after restarting the phone, which did seem to help a little bit. And despite those 5 tips, and promising 5 tips, I'm going to give one bonus tip, and that's about keeping your lightning cables in good condition. Now, this lightning cable I got with my first ever iPhone. It was an iPhone 5S, and that's the box I have right here. This is to my 6S, which I currently use. And the tip is, and I've been using this, pretty consistently for the past, I guess it's almost 4 years or so. Now, they get yellow, they get dirty, but a lot of people I've seen, they say, oh, the wires are garbage, they're crap. They're not. They're decent quality, but you need to take care of anything. It's not about how much abuse they can take. It's about taking care of the product, and it will take care of you. So this product has been through a lot. It's been, it's traveled and whatnot with me. I keep it loosely wrapped. I try to keep it not tightly wrapped. I try not to bend it near the connector where it can be a little bit weaker. I try to keep it straight over in this section, and I try to bend it further out from the connectors, and that's kept it in good condition. It still allows me to connect my phone to my computer, and it still allows me to connect it to power and charge. And despite this little crack over here and the yellowing and whatnot, it holds up. So my tip is keep it in a loose wrapped pattern. It can be circular, or whatever the natural curvature of the wires. I suppose that's best. And I try to also pull the cable straight out of the device. I can't show you on my device right now, and I was unable to find my 5S. Unfortunately, it must be somewhere in my closet. But put it straight in and pull it straight out. And while the plastic is slippery over here, you may not be able to grip it all over there. Try to contact it so that you get as much of that connector as possible. Try not to yank it from the back of the cord. Try to get it as close to that connector as possible, and try to actually squeeze it near that joint so that you're not putting too much strain on that joint right there. You want to protect it so that it doesn't fray and become damaged and turtleneck, I believe the term is. So try to prevent that. So there you go. 5 tips for successful iPhone ownership and a happy iPhone ownership, and a bonus tip to keep your charging cable in good condition. So until next time, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you like the video. Don't forget to leave comments in the comment section if you have any suggestions for future videos, or your thoughts if you'd like to leave them on this video and these tips. Don't forget to hit the red subscribe button below for future content, and the bell as well, so that you can get notified as soon as videos are uploaded or released. And of course, don't forget to follow your passions, do what makes you happy, and until next time, this is Aaron, signing out.